What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, man, we got a special one for you. We got one half of BDE, Big Dude Energy, in the house. None other than Rickie Gilmore. I'm excited to have Rickie on. He seems like a fun dude. It seems like it's going to be an amazing conversation. But before we get into that, I need to take a quick second. A quick pause for the fucking cause to tell you about healthvape.com. Healthvape.com is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products, no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. And they are vitamin infused, guys. These things are like vaping a freaking Red Bull. So go and check out healthvape.com. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Yeah. But also, wherever you're finding us, I appreciate you for tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, share to your grandmother, your auntie, your uncle, your best friend, your worst enemy, everyone. Just share it around. And please like, share, and tap all the links because that helps with the analytics, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're listening on a podcast platform, don't think I forget about you guys. I appreciate you. But if you're tuning in there, make sure you give us a 5-star review. That's a 5-5-5-star review, baby. So please, it helps with our analytics, and it helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people. But anyway, enough talking shit. You guys can go tap the links and tap in, but let's get into the conversation with the one, the only Rickie Gilmore, baby. Hey, we got Rickie Gilmore in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Rickie, welcome to Shooting the Shit. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, mate. How you doing? Thanks for having us. Appreciate the time.
Oh, man, I'm excited to have you on, bro. I got to be honest with you, man. I've really been enjoying the work that you and your tag partner have been doing, man, and, like, the energy that you guys bring out to those crowds, bro. But, like, just, like, the gimmick itself just seems like so much fun. Man, like, how's it been going, like, being a tag team and coming up through the ranks over the last couple of years?
Without kind of sounding like an ass, I don't feel we came up at all. I feel like it was just thrown straight into the deep end, and before you know,
we got Rickie pausing right now. The beauties of live entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Rickie will be right back with us. But if you make sure you go and check out that healthvape.com, use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount. But Rickie, welcome back.
Sorry, mate. We're back. Yeah, as I was saying, I don't feel like there was coming up at all. I feel like we were just kind of thrown straight into the deep end. As we were straight onto shows pretty much. We had our first show at Mayhem Pro, and there was a few people in the crowd that saw us and said, "Yep, we need you guys on the next show." So God bless, like it was straight into the deep end, and I get to do it with my best mate because that's the best part about it. It's not a chore at this point. We're just having fun, and like you said, that energy that we bring, that's no gimmick. It's who we are. Anyone who knows us, they see us in the locker room. We're not putting it on. We're just two dickheads having fun.
But that's what it should be about, though, man. But like, you guys were actually boys before getting into wrestling?
Yeah, we bonded at uni kind of over wrestling. I actually fucking hated the bastard when I first met him. He walked into a class and he was loud, obnoxious. If you've seen Dave, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I was like, nah, fuck this bastard. I don't want to talk to him. And the next week to class, he was running late, and the only seat available in class was right next to me. He walked in the class as loud as ever. I was like, oh, fuck, this bastard's going to come sit next to me. Sure enough, sat next to me, and we actually bonded over. I was watching the NBA game that was on at the time, and we bonded over NBA. And then I caught the train home together. I was reading Brock Lesnar's autobiography at the time. He saw that. He goes, oh, fuck, you're a wrestling fan. You know, we got that in common. And before you know it, it was just, there was too many things in common that we couldn't not be best mates.
So, and like, when did the decision come to like jump in and start training together?
I think we would have even spoken about it like in our first conversation together. Like, oh, let's probably our first gym session. We probably had a gym session together like a week after properly chatting. We went to the same gym, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll meet you there at this time. Let's have a gym session. And we were talking about it. It was like, oh, you know, why did you start training? And it comes up naturally. Oh, you know, probably wanted to be a pro wrestler at some point, and you kind of joke about it every now and then. And after maybe 2-3 years, it was like, let's maybe give it a crack. David knew someone who was on APW management, and they invited us down for a show. We just showed up at training, did a few things here and there, and then kind of through the pandemic, we never really took training as seriously as we should have at the start. And then on the back end of the pandemic, it was like, all right, we're not young. Like, even though we're new on the wrestling scene, we're both 28, turning 29 this year. It was like, fuck, we got to give this a go now. It's like, it's now or never, pretty much, kind of thing.
And like, was it always like when you guys were like training and sort of like doing your thing and talking about, were you talking about like a gimmick? Like, did you have like something that you in mind? Was this what we're seeing now, or was it something completely different?
No, I don't think there was ever a gimmick. It was just, let's be our fucking usual selves. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. I think we were very pragmatic and broke it down and said, all right, let's nail what we need to nail first. And one of those things was, hey, let's go to the gym. Let's get our physiques where they need to be. Let's get our cardio where it needs to be. Then let's go to training, learn how to bump, learn how to roll, learn how to actually have a match, and then put the gimmick together. It wasn't like we sat there from day one and said we were going to be Big Dude Energy. It all kind of just came about organically, which probably the better way to do it.
But even then, like you said, like working out, getting your physiques there, getting your gas tank there as well. Like, do you feel like that's something that a lot of people with like that look at, like, I feel like a lot of people that would go for a tryout to wrestling, I think you get a lot of great athletes, but I think you'd also get like a lot of like, I don't want to say like be negative, but like daydreamers to a certain extent, like coming in there without really a clue of what it physically takes to do wrestling, and maybe not even been inside a gym. Did you find that when you eventually did go from being like in the gym to then going to doing wrestling training?
Yes. I think maybe what we had is that knowledge of wrestling, I suppose, and everyone's seen the clip of Triple H on the Tough Enough set where he's talking to him, telling him, you know, this isn't fucking bullshit, you know, it's not a rock star life. So there's kind of like this preconceived notion, and with everything on the internet, you kind of know what the WWE tryout looks like, you know what everyone's got to go through, and in our head, we didn't really know what the scene was here. We didn't know if we had to try out here. We didn't know what the go was. So we kind of planned for the worst and hoped for the best. If hey, the local scene here has a tryout the standard of WWE, let's try and make sure we're good to go for that.
Yeah. And when you went for the tryout, how did you feel like you went with it? Do you feel like you had the gas?
No, there really wasn't a tryout. So that was the thing. It was kind of, we trained in our minds for a tryout that never really came, but it helped us in the end, because oh shit, we've got a gas tank. Oh shit, we've got a physique. Oh shit, we're ready to go from day one. Rather than, I think a lot of people hit training and they go, oh, there's kind of like a 3-4 month period where they got to get their physique and get everything up to standard before they actually properly start to put things together and they properly start to, you know, learn a few moves.
Do you feel like that made it a lot easier for you? You know, as far as, because you said you don't really feel like you guys were coming up. You kind of like just had things like just thrust straight into it. Do you think it's because you guys did come in so prepared?
Yeah, 100%. And that was kind of a lot of the things we got early days was, oh, hey, you know, your physique's ready to go. You guys look like you should be on shows. I remember being at training one day, and one of the new guys rocked up and come up to me and goes, "Oh, hey, how long have you been wrestling for? You know, how many matches have you had?" And I'd only been doing it for 2 months. I was like, "Oh, I'm just as much of a rookie as you, but just having that physique and my physique's not great. There's guys out there with way better physiques than Dave and I, but
sure.
You know, at least we half what looked the part. So that initially just gave us straight away a leg up on half the competition."
Was there anything like once you started like getting involved in the business, was there anything that was really like surprising or shocking to you about like how the business operates?
I guess how accessible it is, because kind of coming up and not coming up, but like growing up and wondering what the wrestling scene was in Australia. You don't really know what there is, but you kind of see like posters in the city. You kind of see like the odd Facebook post here and there until you're actually kind of in it. You kind of think that, hey, this is a whole big deal, a whole massive industry. But if you're willing to go from day one, if you've got the right attitude, it's accessible to absolutely anyone. You just got to have the right attitude and the right mentality.
Oh, 100%. And like, I think that's like, because it's interesting, man, because like you speak to some people, and like I spoke to Down Under from South Australia, and hearing like his story about how he was like traveled like 600 kilometers just to go and train at RCW, and like when he had 4 days off, and then at the end of the 4 days, drive 600 kilometers back, and then go have a shower and go straight to work. And then it's like you hear other people going, I don't know if I want to drive 40 minutes, you know, the training, it's a bit far. And then I hear like, you know what I mean? Like I hear the two conflicting stories. It's like, man, you can really tell when the people that really want it and the people that, you know what I mean? It's okay.
So when we first started training at Adrenaline, and their training schools in Seaford. I'm based out in the western suburbs near Caroline Springs here in Victoria. That's a good hour and 50-minute drive. So I was doing that drive 2-3 days a week to go to training. So there's certainly that aspect of it. If you're ready to go,
that's a long time. Yeah, that's
a long
time training. Yeah,
exactly. And then the Relentless School of Pro Wrestling opened in Melton, which is 15 minutes down the road from me. It was 15 minutes down the road for Dave. That's when we looked at each other. I was like, well, fuck, now or never. We got no excuse. These guys are here now. There's 3 trainers in Jake Navarro, JXT, and Fox, that huge names, all wrestled across the world in MCW. You know, they'd done it all. So it's like, well, fuck, we got all the opportunity in the world to go learn from the best 15 minutes down the road as opposed to traveling 2 hours. We got no excuse now.
100%. And I think that's the kind of like now or never, like shit or get off the pot kind of stuff. And like JXT, man, like he's legit. Like, you know, like he's one of the nicest guys in the business, but he's also like just, you know, so knowledgeable. And, you know, like I've spoken to him a couple of times, like on the podcast, but also like doing a show or two with him as well. And man, like just talking to him, how knowledgeable he is, man, so underrated.
I think anyone can know the ins and outs of what to do in between the ropes. Where JXT sets himself apart from everyone else is what he does outside the ropes. His social media game is untouched, second to none in this country. The way he talks to his students, you know, how you present yourself, you know, what do you do with your gear? What do you do with your entrance? What do you do with your theme song when you're picking your theme song? What do you do in terms of your total presentation when you're out in the crowd talking with fans? What are you dressed in? All that kind of stuff that doesn't really, you wouldn't consider, but JXT considers it from day one, and he's ingraining that in all the students there. That's what sets him apart.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, like, you know, he's great. Like he's helped me on certain things on shows, or, you know, like when I started managing, I sent him a promo, and I asked him, I was like, can you watch this? Tell me what I did okay. Tell me what I did shit, and tell me what I can do to make it better. And he, to his credit, man, he sent me like a page full of notes and like voice text and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, don't take this to heart, man, but and not tearing it to shreds. I like how you did this, but this, why did you do this? Why, you know what I mean? And just made me think about it in a different mindset. Like I said, I got a lot of time for JXT, man. Good, very good dude. Very, very knowledgeable.
Good brother. Good on the beers too.
The White Claws, though. He's a White Claw outlaw, isn't he?
Depends on what day you catch him on. You catch him on the right day, he'll stick anything.
A man of my a true man that I like to hang out with. But you know, for yourself though, like, you know, once you sort of started now getting into the scene and you're starting, you know, going from different places and different places, like did you set yourself any goals where you want to really be in wrestling, or is it this just like, hey, I just want to have as much fun as I can?
Yeah, it was literally as much fun as possible, and it's kind of, we'd heard a lot of people say like, I got too caught up along the way. I was doing this, that, and the other, and I didn't really enjoy it while I was doing it. For us, we're enjoying it. We're smelling the roses along the way. We're just having fun, and if we can't do it tomorrow, so be it. Like, we know we had fun the whole way, and this is it.
What were they saying that you were doing that you shouldn't have been doing? Like, were you just 100 mile a minute?
Oh no, it wasn't that we shouldn't have been doing anything. And I suppose if someone said we shouldn't have been doing anything, we're still going to do it anyway. We're going to do things kind of the way we want it. And yeah, that's not to say we're not open to criticism. We're certainly big critics. I'm probably my biggest critic of our matches. I certainly ask for feedback after every match, but you know, at the end of the day, feedback and opinions, you take them on board, but at the end of the day, you got to do what you want to do. And if someone can give you feedback that's actually shit feedback, I'm not going to take it on board if it's shit feedback.
Well, you know what someone once told me, it's like, you're going to take advice on how to drive a Ferrari for someone who drives a Honda Civic.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's certain things. It's like, if there's people like, and that's where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just because like certain people are around. Like, I've seen like, you know, a rookie try and give feedback to another rookie backstage in a show, and I'm like, you guys have been wrestling the same amount. Actually, I think he's been wrestling longer than you. He's
that. So like, after every match, everyone wanted to give their opinion on the match, and everyone wanted to say this or say that. After every post on social media, someone would say something. But you know what? Who are the people that I trust? Who are the people that I believe? Who are the people that, you know, me and Dave kind of connect with and understand? So like, leaning on JXT, Fox, and Navarro, that I'll always take their feedback on board. They're the best. There's always people that, you know, I have in my corner that I know I can always trust. They're going to give me the right advice, even if it's shit advice. Josh has torn me to shreds on more than one occasion for training matches and actual matches. I've come backstage after matches and had Fox tell me straight to my face, yeah, it was fucking shit. That was your worst match you've ever had. So, and that's fine. I appreciate that from those guys.
Because I think that, like, but I think as well, like, you know what, I think people know what they can say to other people. And I think as well, like, there's certain people, like you said, he can come up and say that to you. But if someone else came up to you and you'd be like, who the fuck are you? Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But I think it's because, like, when you have that respect for someone, you have that more of a, you know, open communication, if you will.
We had guys after our second match telling us we'd be in New Japan in 6 months. So, like, that's the kind of shit. Everyone's going to say something. Everyone's got an opinion. Yeah. I'm not going to take it all on board.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's the thing with wrestling is it's so subjective. Like, you could have, like, you know, like 10 fans come up and say, oh, you guys are shit. But then, like, you'll have 1,000 fans come up and say, you guys are the shit, like, amazing. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird sort of, like, it's the same with music, really, right?
Exactly. You can only take what you're given and make the most out of it. So I think the pro side of being a tag team is Dave and I can look at each other and give each other feedback. I'll take Dave's feedback on board. He'll take my feedback on board, and we can trust each other to go back and forth and tell each other the truth.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well, like, I think with the relationship you guys have, like, being before getting into the wrestling business as well, like, I think there's more of a trust there. Because, like, I always kind of feel like whenever I'm talking to someone involved in wrestling, I walk away going, did I just get worked? You know what I mean? Like, I'm always going, was that a work? Or
everything's a work, mate. Everything's a work.
100%. But, you know, as far as, like, you know, you're concerned, like, oh, yeah, what you see on the scene today, like, what sort of tag team, like, wrestling is out there in Melbourne? Like, is it the scene hot for you guys right now? Like, what is it that you guys are really looking for and wanting to accomplish?
Honestly, we're desperate for competition at the moment. We want to see people turn around and create tag teams to come face us, because right now I'm fucking sick of facing Murdoch 20 times a year. Like I've faced that bloke enough times, and we're gonna be facing him again on the next DMDU show. So like there's a need for tag teams in Melbourne, and I think across all of Australia at the moment. So, and that's something David and I welcome. We kind of, every time we see a new tag team formed, it's like, cool. Are we going to face them soon? Did we even inspire that? Because that's what we want to do. We want to build a whole division around us.
I think that there's. Here we go. Your boy Murdoch coming. Fuck you, Ricky. Hey, Murdoch, you want me to send you a link? You can confront him yourself on air. But like, what is it? Like as far as like in the wrestling business, is there anything that you were surprised that once you got involved, like how certain things worked, how certain operations worked? Like, was there anything that surprised you, or were you feeling like once you came in, like with everything available, like dirt sheets and shit on the internet and stuff like that, did you feel like you came in mentally prepared for the wrestling business?
I didn't really know what to prepare for. I think maybe it's a bit more relaxed than I expected. Maybe I expected a little bit more. Hey, Schmitty, we're doing well. Thanks for the comments. Maybe I probably expected a bit more, I don't know, rigid production. Like this is going to be this. It's probably a bit more relaxed than what I was expecting. Like when I talk to people that don't have any background in wrestling, people from work and stuff like that, they're like, oh, so you're wrestling a match this weekend. When's your rehearsal? How many times have you guys practiced this match? I'm like, we don't. We just figure it out on the day. So I think that was probably a little bit of a conception before stepping in, that it'd be a bit more rigid and a bit more structured.
But did you feel like you would have been practicing a match for like weeks leading up to it?
Maybe not weeks, but maybe if it was, not that I'm ever going to be in a WrestleMania, but if it was like a WrestleMania match, are you guys practicing things weeks out? Are you guys planning spots weeks out? That was kind of something I thought, but yeah, I don't know what I expected.
Like, as far as like, can you guys go in there? Are you guys comfortable to work on the fly? Like, if you were to rock up to a show, worst traffic, like, I mean, oh, you guys are on next, get your shit on, work it out when you get there. How confident do you think you would be to go out there and call a match completely on the fly with nothing planned?
I suppose it depends on who you're in there with, and I think with tag teams, it's a bit more difficult because there's 4 people involved. There's 4 people that need to be on. Yeah, there's more people that need to be on the same page as opposed to a singles match. But yeah, we could do it if we needed. We've had it done to us before. We didn't enjoy it, but we're always of the mindset that if you have a chance to plan something, if you have a chance to plan a match and put out the best product, why not do that? At the end of the day, there's people in the crowd who have paid to see you put on the best possible show, and I don't think I can put on the best possible match by calling it on the fly. So why call it on the fly?
Yeah, 100%. I think you got to do what you're comfortable with, right? Like it's when you're in there, and if you're going to be able to be like, it's you have to be the ones comfortable to pull off what you do.
Exactly. And like the reality is, we're still probably fractionally green. What are we? We're less than 2 years into it. We had our debut July 2020. What are we in now? 2023. We're about 2 years in. We're about 2 years in now. Let's say. So we're still relatively green at this. We're not like 1,000 matches in. Maybe 5 years time, I'd be sitting here having a different opinion and saying, hell yeah, I'd rather just call it on the fly. Why am I bothering planning matches? I can call them. So there's guys out there that they probably do their best work on the fly, where they can turn around and say, let's see what the crowd's going to give me. Let's work off of that and just make something work based on what's best out there in the moment. But for us right now, what works best is planning a match and putting a match that way.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think like that's probably like, I don't know, like that's probably better for people sort of newer coming into the business as well, is like to give them more of a safety blanket of going and doing that. Because it's like you talk to like people that have been in the industry for a long time, they're like, oh, the one thing that they're against is like all this like continued working spots. Whereas like just go out there and figure it out when you're out there. And it's like, I've never wrestled, I've never taken a bump. So for me, it's hard to sort of understand either way. Like I've got the worst memory. So for me, I could see myself forgetting a lot of shit if I was ever in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think there's an even medium, right? So there's certainly situations where we've planned matches and planned spots and said, you know, this is what we're going to do. And you go out there and the crowd's just absolutely going ape shit for something else. So keep giving them that. You know, you obviously got to be adaptable. And, you know, if you got to call something on the fly, call something on the fly. But yeah, that I find that's what works best for us at this point in time. But, you know, ask me again in 5 years.
100%. Did you ever find like with the business that like once you're in there, like people coming at you with ulterior motives, like maybe trying to like come across like, hey man, let us give you some like advice, but in reality they're trying to stick the knife in your back?
I haven't experienced it to an absolutely detrimental effect, but if I have, then, you know, good on you. You've done it without me knowing. So I don't know, each to their own. And actually, Dave and I spoke about this the other day. We were talking about one or two things, and we were kind of theorizing some things that come about. It's like, okay, where's this come from? And maybe if someone said something about us, then so be it. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. At the end of the day, people know where to contact us.
You've noticed you've missed bookings because of it, or?
Oh no, there's just maybe one or two things that had been said about us that we were like, nah, this isn't bang on, this isn't accurate. And, you know, we'll message one or two people and we'll call them out on it. We'll ask the truth and see what the go is. Where's this come about? Has something happened? You know,
well, where's the problem? Basically, like what's up?
And it's not like, I actually don't care if someone's going to say something about me or Dave. It's more if those things get to people that I care what they think. You know, I at the end of the day, promoters are hiring us to do a job. They're hiring us to do something, you know, for their audience. Exactly. And I care about what the promoter thinks, because they're hiring. I have a working relationship with a promoter. If a promoter hears from someone that, hey, BDE said this and it's not true, now I have issue. I don't care if you want to sit there and say, hey, he's a dickhead. He said this about me. I don't care. So don't insult our work. Don't insult what we're about. Don't put any of my bookings at risk.
Yeah, and don't put words in your mouth either, because that's the one thing is like when people say, oh yeah, this person said this and they didn't, it's like, but even then, if they did, it's like, who the fuck are you to open your mouth and say it anyway? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just too many people are just willing to spread shit.
Oh, and that's the relationship I think we have with, you know, the promoters we work with, and at least the people I have in my inner circle and the close friends we have in this business, that, hey, if you heard this, you know, you can come to me, you know, you can chat to me, and they'll come chat with me and be, hey, we heard this, and we'll have that conversation. If I don't hear from you, it means you don't give a shit about me, and so be it.
Do you, like, have you, like, whenever you've confronted people, have they ever come at you, like come back at you and like come at you sideways going like, fuck yeah, like, yeah, I did say that, fuck you, like, what are you going to do about it? Or
no,
has it always been like backpedaling?
I'd appreciate that. If someone wants to do that, then fair enough. Go ahead and put your name to it. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you. But yeah, no, it's.
Well, I think as well, a lot of people kind of just like a lot of people don't like that confrontation, and they would do anything to probably be in that situation. But, oh no, brother, like smooth it over really quick.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get very comfortable over the internet. It's the reality of it. If not a lot of people can have a conversation face to face.
100%. Like I think it's easier to put something out on the internet just by typing a few things or punching a few keys on your phone. But it's like, you know, as the saying goes, man, be careful, because your online balls will get your real life teeth knocked down your throat one day.
Never heard that one before.
There you go. You can use that one. But like, I feel like that's the kind of way that we live in society now, where like a lot of people just, it's easy for them to go and do that. It's easy for them to talk shit about them behind their back instead of just address the issue and say, hey, listen, I've got a problem with you because of this.
Yeah. And that's the easy way to go about it. I don't know. I guess social media has made things a little too easy for people, and they don't really know how to socialize.
It's made people kind of socially awkward though, because like I know myself, like
100%.
I'm on social media fucking like a lot with podcasting stuff and stuff like that. I know, like I said, man, I got 3 kids, so when I get home, like when they're awake up until the time they go to bed, I just put my phone aside. It's like whatever's happening on the world of like the World Wide Web can wait 2 hours until I put my kids to bed, and then I can worry about it.
Exactly. I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, how did you and Dave get to where you're at? Like, how did this happen so quick?" Like, mate, half of it happened because we can just go backstage and hold a regular conversation and just chat with people. And you know what? At the end of maybe let's not chat about wrestling for 10 minutes. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about, you know, sport. Let's talk about anything and just have a normal conversation that's actually wrestling and vote. It just envelops so much of what we do, and we're so focused on it so much of the time. Let's take ourselves away from that. Let's have a regular conversation away from that and actually forget we're in wrestling for 10 minutes. And you know what? You feel a bit more relieved, because sometimes wrestling as a business, it's very above the shoulders. You're very tense and very stressed all the time. Some people just want 5 minutes away.
But like that's the thing, dude. Like, is my life is very much wrestling heavy, and like I watch less wrestling now than I ever did before in my life. Like, I'd be lucky to watch a show a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that, and just because it's like by the time everything I do and a lot of conversations I have outside of my work are involved around professional wrestling for a majority, it's like when I sit down and watch TV, it's like, fuck, like, all right, I want to watch something else. You know what I mean? Like, I want to disconnect from it for a little bit. And I feel like if I didn't, I'd end up hating it, and I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah, and I suppose it's just out there so much. There's that much content to consume, regardless of where I am or what I'm doing. If I want to sit down and watch 30 minutes of Raw, I can get it on my phone in 1 minute on YouTube. So it's there for you when you need it. So why, if I can get away from it for a bit, I'll get away from it for a bit.
But that's where I think as well, like I think social media has made the product in a way, like from a storytelling aspect, it's like, because if you look at wrestling from the Attitude Era, every time an episode would finish, it's gonna have like a cliffhanging moment, like a Sons of Anarchy season ending moment or episode ending moment, a Sopranos ending thing where it's like, oh shit, now I've got to wait a week to see what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like certain things like that, where I think now it's like, oh yeah, I can just go and read a dirt sheet or read what someone's written online about what happened or what the spoiler is or something like that. There's no element of surprise in wrestling.
It's not just that, it's also just the nature of the social media we're consuming these days. You know, TikToks are only allowed to be 3 minutes long. Instagram videos only a minute long. Facebook videos half the time are a minute long. People don't have the attention span that they used to sit down for 2 hours to watch a wrestling show anymore. The media they consume is
yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. The media that they consume is all brief. It's micro content media. It's quick, it's short, it's to the point. Like, even with my podcast, like I put out clips of each episode that I do and upload them to YouTube, and they might be like between 2 to 10 minutes long, depending on what the discussion of the topic is. But like sometimes the clips get more hits and people get that because it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like it gets a better, like, you know what I mean? They get that quick little bit of
it's more
information.
accessible. It's more accessible, and not just that, people make that decision straight away. If you're scrolling through TikTok, that first 3 seconds, if you don't capture someone on that clip, see you later. They're just going to keep scrolling, and yeah, it's just the way it is now. So
TikTok's crazy, man, because like my kids go on screen time and shit, and like my 4-year-old little girl, I caught her on TikTok the other day, and she wasn't watching anything too dramatic. She was watching like cartoons and toys and shit like that on there, but it was like I was getting that stuff quickly deleted off because it's like, man, there's a lot of like extremely insane content on there.
yeah, and it's a rabbit hole at the end of the day. That's the issue with the internet. You don't really know where you are at any given time. 2 clicks away from your worst nightmare, I suppose.
Well, that's man. Like, yeah, like I mean, that's the thing. It leaves you sucked in to keep on wanting to go back to it as well. But for yourself now, like being a couple years into wrestling, do you find when you sit down and try and consume some sort of the product, whether it be like any type of professional wrestling, whether it be indie, Australian, American indie, whatever, or like major promotion, do you now look at wrestling in a different light? Do you look at it with a different lens?
For me, with wrestling, when I want to watch wrestling, when I want to consume wrestling, I want to watch something that I'm emotionally invested in. Mm-hmm. So with like I'm still a big WWE fan to this day, and that's because I've grown up watching WWE. And if you think about like a regular TV show, it has a season end and that's it, and then you won't see it for another 12 months until the new season starts. Wrestling keeps going. There has been no end to a weekly episode of Raw. From the time I tuned in to this week, there has been an episode of Raw or SmackDown on every week. So in theory, it's been one massive season. So I've been invested from all the way over here to today. I still have that emotional attachment to the product. I still have that emotional investment to the product. So I can still sit down and watch a WWE match and still get that same enjoyment that I used to get because I'm still emotionally invested in it. Same way I can go to a local show here in Melbourne and see people that I have a personal relationship with, people I have an attachment with. I'm emotionally invested in what they're doing. I want to see them do really well. I can't sit down and watch, a random indie show in America between 2 people I've never heard of. I have no emotional attachment to either of those people. I have never seen either one of them wrestle. That's a challenge for me. I think that's where I differ from a lot of people. I think a lot of people will just watch any given match. For me, I need to have some sort of emotional attachment to it or emotional investment to actually enjoy it and want to watch it.
I think you can get that with 2 people that you've never seen wrestle before. If they're really, really good.
Yeah.
If they're good at what they do, then they will do that. Like I've seen my wife, who's not a wrestling fan, get emotionally invested in a match. And it was like a random old CZW show from 2005 that I was just happened to just like start watching. And it was like, it started her reading a book or doing something. And then by the end of the match, she was on the edge of the seat. And that's the most excited I've ever seen her anything to do with wrestling. But that got her emotionally connected somehow or some reason that hooked her.
And that's the attachment that everyone needs in any given match, right? That's why, Josh says to us in training, it's not, your moves. I can teach anyone how to do 20 different moves and string them together in a sequence, but it's what you do in between every move. It's what you do at the start of the match. It's what you do on your way to the ring. All that stuff is capturing people and bringing them in and making them pay attention and getting that emotional investment so that when you do that big move, there is that payoff. And that's what a lot of people lack. And I think that's what a lot of wrestling's probably lacking a bit now, particularly indie wrestling. I think a lot of indie wrestling's probably geared towards, hey, how many TikTok clips can I get out of this match? Because that's what's actually going to get me the engagement. And I don't fault it one bit. I see the reality of what works online and what works for some people. But for me, that's not what I want to watch. So I'll go look for something else. It just depends on what you're into, I suppose. So don't think I'm sitting here shitting on people who want to go out there and do 10 minutes of spot fest. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. If that's what works for you, if that's what's getting you over, fair play to you. If it's getting you booked, good on you. It's just not
I think the spot fest matches have their place on their card, but as long as it's not every match on the card.
Oh, and then you just fatigue the crowd. After 10 matches of Canadian destroyers, the last one doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, or super kick, you know what I mean? It gets the P bit. But you know what? Like that's one thing I noticed is like one of the shows I worked recently, I was doing commentary and it was like nearly every match, like it was about 7 matches on the card and probably 4 or 5 out of the matches, every one of the matches had a cannonball. Every one of the matches had a power bomb.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's okay, that's not a big deal, but that was just something I picked up. I'm like, you couldn't have done something different.
the shit part is if, you know, the bloke in the last match has a power bomb as his finish, well, fuck. Yeah,
Right.
everyone else has done one, and now mine looks shit. Or not that it looks shit, but if 4 other people have kicked out of one leading into the main event, then what's mine fucking mean?
But that's, you know, like that's the same way as like when people say, oh yeah, like if people have got real life heat, let them go out and sort it out in the ring, and like almost like shoot on each other. And it's like, and I said that I had a conversation with someone a while back, and it's like they go, yeah, they should let them just go out there and do that. And I'm like, okay, let me put it to you like this: they go out there and do that. One guy hits the other guy, everything he's got, lays him out, and the first punch knocks him clean the fuck out. Great. Then what?
Yeah.
Then what about the next match when they throw a punch? Or what about the match after that when they throw a punch and the guy stands there and doesn't get knocked out?
Not just that, but, you know, take into account what are the fans paying to see. You know, if you got beef and you want to sort it out away from what people are paying for. The fans came there to see a certain level of production, a certain level of a standard. You better fucking deliver it. Yeah, and if you want to do that, that's fine. As soon as we step through those curtains and we're out there doing a show, you got to be professional. You got to. We're paid for a job. I got to deliver on it.
That shit, yeah, exactly. You're there to be a pro. Go out there and be a pro. And have you found like you've ever been in that situation or seen something like that where like people have started shooting on each other in the ring, or someone shooting on you and Dave?
I've never experienced it. Dave and I have never experienced. I can't say we've ever seen it in a show that we've been on. It's not to say we haven't heard about it, but I think Dave and I have been pretty lucky. I think a lot of people probably have some horror stories involved in wrestling. Us, we've been relatively lucky. It's been pretty sweet for us so far. And even situations where we've been with people where people have said, oh, you know, maybe I don't necessarily like this guy. I've had a bad experience with this guy. Careful over there. Careful working here. You know, just watch yourselves. Or you know what? I'll judge everyone based on how they treat me. And so far, everyone's been absolutely sweet to me. They've given us the time of day, and they've put us in a position where, you know what, we're doing what we're doing because people have allowed us to shine, and I appreciate everyone for that so far.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the same way, bro. You got to kind of like make your mind up for yourself about people as well. Like I feel like, you know, like you hear certain things about, oh, this person's like this person's like that, and then you meet that person and you've already got this preconceived idea of what they're going to be, and they're nothing like that. Then you're like,
fuck, you're actually a great bloke.
This person's fucking awesome. Like, what? Why would I not want to hang out, or why would I not want to talk to them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. But I think that's also comes back to the society way. Is like if someone's got a problem with someone else, automatically it's their mission to make that like their problem with that person, everyone against that person.
Yeah, and I also like if I'm gonna get heat for hanging out with someone that you don't like, well, fuck, too bad. They were nice to me. I can make a decision on who I want to hang out with.
100%. And you know, but that's an adult thing. Like I feel like it's very childish to say to someone, hey man, you shouldn't be hanging out with that. Like don't hang out with that person. Don't be friends with that person. Yeah,
and we're adults here, man. It's at the end of the day, what, you got to be 18 to get on a show, right? I actually don't know if you got to be 18 to get on a show, but we're all adults, right? Why are we doing schoolyard shit?
I don't know, man. I think it's anything with a competitive nature, with competitive people involved in it to a certain extent. I think there's always going to be a certain level of, I don't want to say shit talk, but there's always going to be that it's competitiveness, right? So you want that competitive edge.
Yeah. Except for Murdoch, he can go fuck himself if he's still watching.
Oh, damn, bro. You're going hard on Murdoch tonight, bro. You got some beef with this dude?
He deserves it.
I'm sure there you go. He's still here. Fuck you, Ricky. Hey, Murdoch, I said I'll send you the link. You can say whatever you want, bro. But you know, like for yourself though, like what do you see you and Dave going down the road of like feuding eventually, splitting the tag team up, or is it you guys going, we want to stick together and that's just it?
I think there's always going to be that theory of BDE match, me and Dave against each other. But for now, we don't want to even entertain it. If a promoter comes to us and says, "Hey, we want to do this," we're shooting it down straight away. He's my best mate. He's my tag partner for a reason. We've got each other's back. I wouldn't have fun doing it without Dave. So I don't want to split from that. We're enjoying a level of success and actually enjoying every moment of it together. Why would we split? And Valentine's Day was the other day. So God bless you. I love you, Dave.
Oh, look at that. Tag teams forever.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Even when we got into it, we kind of sat back and said, what do we want to do? And it was never like, hey, let's both become wrestlers and see what happens. It was always from day one, we're going to be a tag team. Like we said, if we were going to start wrestling training, the day one we walked into training, it was, we're going to be a tag team. And part of that was a business decision. Like we kind of surveyed the landscape and said, hey, there's not a lot of tag teams right now in wrestling. It'd really pay if one people turned around and said, "Hey, this is our shtick now. Let's take this over." But the other part of it was, "Hey, why would I do it with anyone other than Dave? Why would we not want to be a tag team? It's just way more fun being out there together."
What's been like one of the biggest accomplishments you guys have done so far as a team? You feel?
It's hard. It's hard to pick one. Like winning tag titles in our first year in the business is a pretty big accomplishment for us. There was things that we did, like people told us it'd take 5-6 years to get on an MCW show. We were on an MCW show within 12 months of our debut. That was a big accomplishment to us. Wrestling Akira in a death match was a huge accomplishment for us, with Callan as well. Callan, who gave us the time of day and really helped get us where we were to this day. So all these things, we have these massive accomplishments on the way, but I think the big accomplishment is still being here today together. And, not one step of the way have we looked back and said, we wish we'd have done this different. We wish we'd have not done that. Or it's always been just, let's do this together and let's enjoy it.
How did you find the tag match against Akira? Like, and especially a death match as well? Because I feel like you guys, a couple years in the business, why not go do a death match, right? Like, how did you find wrestling someone like Akira? Because Akira, an amazing athlete, great wrestler, and his death match style particularly amazing.
Yeah.
How did you find the whole death match thing, but also wrestling Akira?
The deathmatch thing wasn't an issue. I don't think there was anything we did in that match where I sit back and go, holy fuck, that absolutely sucked. Like it all sucks at some level. And there's things in there that did suck a little more, but nothing where I was like, holy fucking shit, this killed me. So that was fine. I like the creativity we had with the deathmatch of like, we could bring anything into the ring and just work with absolutely anything. There was a shit ton of weapons available for us. I was like, cool, how can we use this? How can we use this? What can we do differently with this? That was fun for us. Akira himself was absolutely grouse. I love Akira. He was more than a gentleman to us, more than...
We just got to cut out there. Rickie will be back in a second, but guys, make sure you go and check out healthvape.com. Go and use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount. Rickie's back. We were just talking about Akira.
Yeah, he gave us more than enough and just really gave us the time of day and was like, hey, boys, what do you guys want to do? This is what we do. This is what I want to do. And just like gave us everything we wanted. It was, I don't know how to describe it. He was just a good guy. It wasn't like, oh, there's this American guy coming and you have this expectation of what are the internationals going to be like? What are the Americans going to be like? Is he going to be? It was just another guy. And there's no difference between an American wrestler and an Australian wrestler. He was just a great guy.
Yeah. Do you think you guys will go and do more deathmatch stuff, or is that one and done for you guys?
For now, I want to say it's one and done. Never say never, but there's so many guys out there doing death matches at the moment. If we get in there, it kind of just devalues it. For now, we've got a pretty good niche with tag wrestling. So let's just keep rolling with tag wrestling. We're doing everything we want in tag wrestling, and we've got a spot on the shows where we can do something different with our tag stuff, that we don't need to do death matches, nor do like there's no need to go 100%. Out there and do a little bit extra just for our own personal validation. I don't
well,
know.
I think what you guys do, you do well. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to go out there and take that extra punishment. You don't need to go out there and to do it, essentially, because what you're doing is getting the result.
And that's what we said with the death match was, let's not go out there and just have a death match. Let's actually just have a BDE match and make it with death match elements. What can we do that we're currently doing, and what do we do in terms of tag wrestling that works really well for us, and how can we add a deathmatch element to that? And that I think worked really well for us, as opposed to just, hey, here's a bundle of light tubes.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where like has been my criticism with deathmatch wrestling, where it's always been like, I'm a fan of it. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but I always like have been critical because it's like, make it believable. Don't do stupid shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for the sake of using a weapon, like, build up to it. Tell a story with it. Show me something. Like, if I wanted to see people fuck each other up with like light tubes, I'll just go on YouTube and watch backyard wrestling from 2001. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. You know what I mean? But if I'm watching a wrestling show, I want to see something. If I'm watching a deathmatch show, I want to see something spectacular, but I want to see wrestling.
No, and that's certainly what we tried to do, and we think that worked for us. And if we would do that again, that's certainly the flavor we'd go with again. It's, at the end of the day, like I said before, you're trying to tell a story. If you're not emotionally invested in a light tube when you've seen 20 other light tubes in the previous match and 20 on the previous match, then what are we going to do that's different to actually get you invested? And hey, if I use one light tube, I'm going to make that one light tube mean more than your 20.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless you're going to stick one end up your ass and the thing's going to come to light, I mean, that would be something different.
Never say never. Never say never.
Oh, bro, that's electrifying.
Mate, you saw 2 weeks ago with Wrestle Rock, there's nothing that's outside of our remit. I wore a pink G-string in the ring and you know, got my ass out for everyone. So there's absolutely nothing that's off limits when it comes to BDE. If you pitch a dumb idea, if we think it's good enough, we'll do it.
You wore a pink G-banger on a show, ass out.
It wasn't the ass that I was worried about getting out. It was everything in front that I was more worried about. This thing had like the tiniest little pouch, and the idea was we had a makeover match. If we lost, we had to get made over. So had to get made over, and first step was, hey, remove your BDE gear. You know, you get out of that shit. So got out of our BDE gear, and I just
in the middle of the ring. You had the G.
So I just so happened to have been wearing a pink G-string on that day. It was a Wednesday. Wednesdays we wear pink, so that's what we did.
That is hilarious.
The funny part was earlier in the day, I was trying to shop for a G-string, and the only person I could think of was Matt Hayter. So I got on the phone and gave Matt Hayter a call. I was like, "Hey mate, what are you doing?" Like, I was sending him photos in the shop, like, "Hey, which G-string could I buy? Which one's gonna work?" And he's telling me all the intricacies. No, don't buy that one. It's got like a plastic clip on it. You don't want the clip to break during your match because then your balls will come out. Fucking hell, didn't think of that.
The fact that Matt Hayter is a G-string expert is kind of concerning.
He's got a great ass. Have you seen it? He gets it out every show.
I saw the Instagram post the other day. I was like, oh Jesus.
He uploaded one earlier today of him. It would have been in a G-string or something. It was like, let's get it up.
Yeah, I'll find it. Where is it?
He's covering everything with like a chair. Look at him.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's got everything out for show.
Oh mate, good for him. But like, as far as tag teams in Australia go, like who's a tag team that you guys haven't worked yet that you'd really like to get in there with?
Number one for us at the moment is probably the Velocities. That's shooting for the absolute stars and a tag team that we really want to see. and really want to wrestle. I think with their style and our style, us kind of being more power based, and then being the higher flyers, we could really put on something good. And also just they're arguably the best tag team in the country right now. I want to test ourselves and see how we hang with them. Number 2, back pain. Backman, I am sick of that bloke talking shit on Instagram and Twitter. For a bloke with the head the size that he's got, he should not be talking as much shit. We had 3 minutes with him at the PWA Coliseum show last year, and it just wasn't enough time in the ring. I think a lot of people want to see BDE back pain. That's one that's been floated for as long as we've been wrestling. So
that'd be a cool matchup, actually. Like I think that would also, not because it's like 4 big dudes, but I think it's because of like the personalities as well. I think would make it even more interesting.
The dynamic between the two teams would be ridiculous, and not just between the 4 boys in the ring. Jimbro Jessie, what she's doing on the outside, she's just as big a character as anyone in that ring. If all 5 of us were there, she would be the biggest character. So
agree, yeah, man. She's absolutely great, man. Jessie, I've got a lot of time for her, man. Great character, great human being as well. So but I think you guys versus back pain would definitely be one for the show to see.
Mainly because I want to kick Backman in the fucking head.
Far out, man. Jesus, don't hold back here, mate. But it is that time of the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time where I ask a bunch of questions in 60 seconds. Rickie Gilmore, this is 60 seconds with Piers. How it's going to work. I'm going to start the clock, and I'm going to fire a bunch of motherfucking questions at you, and you've got 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. Are you ready to get this bitch going?
Bring him, baby boy. Show me what you got.
All right. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
You have 24 hours to spend $2 million. How do you spend it?
I'd probably pay off mum, dad, and my mortgage. Yep.
You're the lead singer of a band and get to go on tour with them for 6 months. Which band do you choose?
Ice Nine Kills, if anyone knows Ice Nine Kills.
Yeah, okay. What is something that you enjoy that you are embarrassed to admit that you like? Kind of like a guilty pleasure.
Craig David.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
Art vs. Science. They played in Melbourne a few years ago. They were good.
If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Fuck. Yeah, go with that. Oh, fuck.
What would your autobiography be called?
Oh, fuck.
Which actor would play you in a movie?
I'd like to go with Danny DeVito.
Okay. Which Chris is hotter, Hemsworth, Evans, or Pratt?
Go with Hemsworth.
What's the shittest gift you have ever received?
Having to do this podcast.
Oh, what's the shittest gift you've ever given someone?
Having to do this podcast.
Oh, bro, come on, man. You're burying me, bro. Okay, last question. In 5 minutes' time, you're being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
My phone and my headphones. I can't live without Spotify, so give me fucking tunes.
That's it. That has been 60 Seconds with Piers and Rickie Gilmore. Rickie, I appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a good conversation. Definitely want to get you back on down the track, bro. I think we're just sort of scratching the surface, man. But where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they get some Rickie Gilmore merch and some BDE merch?
Yep. So there's merch for us at wrestlershop.com.au. You can catch us on Instagram at BDE_Rickie Gilmore, on Twitter _Rickie_Gilmore, or just search Rickie Gilmore. I'm not that hard to find. There's not that many Rickie Gilmores out there. While you're at it, though, if you can, people, please give Relentless School of Pro Wrestling a follow. They're doing some great things, and Mayhem Pro in Melton. They are doing absolutely amazing things in the west of Melbourne, and certainly one to keep an eye out on.
Absolutely. Huge shout out for Relentless and Mayhem. Go and check him out. Absolutely run by legends. Again, thank you very much for giving up your time, brother. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you please go and check out our sponsor, Health Vape. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount. And wherever you're finding us, make sure you share, like, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. Tap that button and tap in, baby. But until next time, we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. All the best. Peace.